Connecting to clouds.
No. All right.
Somebody
We started the webinar. Okay.
Very good.
Three minutes or 2 minutes earlier.
Okay, good.
But this is a preparation for everyone.
Yeah,
hey, good morning, good afternoon,
morning.
good evening, depending on your current location. We would like to welcome you at the EBA webinar organized by the European Association of Employer Branding Agencies. And thanks for joining today's webinar. And as a preparation, because we have 10 more minutes to go, we would like to ask you to type into the chat zone, where are you from? And say hello on your native language. Okay, and please use the chat zone and please select all attendees option. Okay, because some of you, all panelists and all attendees. Yeah, cool. Hey, from Australia, we have a good friend in Australia, Brett Minchington, the Elon Musk of employer branding. Hello, Hungary, jó reggelt, from Amsterdam, Russia, Lithuania. Wow, thanks for joining.
So great to see from all over.
Cool. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, jó reggel Budapestről. Hello, Maria from Russia, Moscow, Malaysia, Estonia. Great. So today we are going to talk about employer branding and digital transformation. This is our topic for today. My name is Adam Horvat. I am the host for today, and I would like to thank you, all of you, joining us today. This is a webinar organized by the European Association of Employer Branding Agencies. We celebrated our second birthday a couple of months ago. We founded our association 2 years ago in 2019, and yeah, at the beginning we were friends talking about employer branding, and now we are friends talking about employer branding, but in 11 countries. And as an organization, we cover a market with more than 400 million people. So this is the background, the knowledge we would like to share today. And I am happy to welcome our dear guests from Norway, Spain, Estonia, UK, Russia, Hungary, the Netherlands. I will introduce our speakers later on, but guys, thank you for joining us and accepting our invitation today. And yeah, to all attendees, if you joining right now, we are about 100, and we are going to start the webinar in a minute. And if you join in, just say hello in your native language and type in where are you from, and please select the all panelists and attendees option, because some of you sent us really nice messages, but if you select the all panelists, you make happy 10 people, but if you select all attendees, yeah, cool, then everybody will able to see.
Then you're gonna make happy the whole world.
Yeah, we are international, not only from Europe, but from all over the world. If you are new in this webinar, I highly recommend you to find our speakers on LinkedIn, because if you can see your country in the speaker's name, I highly suggest you to connect him or her somehow. In the European Association of Employer Branding Agencies, we accept only one participant, one member from each country. So if you are from Norway and you are doing employer branding, you can be sure that Hans can help you somehow. So connect Hans. If you are from Spain, connect with Pedro. And here we have Kersti, Mark, Andre, Ton, and Anita. And I think this is the time to start the whole webinar. Thanks for joining. We are above 150 attendees. Really cool. And thanks for saying hello in your native language. Okay, hello Finland, Spain, Denmark, cool. Today we are going to talk about employer branding and digital transformation. And we have 3 sections. The first one is how to build a system, a digital system, of how to connect employer branding with digitalization. The second one, how to scale up, how to grow. And in the third part, we are going to talk about measuring and how to report beautiful numbers to the executive level. And our first speaker is Kersti Vannas from Estonia. She is the CEO and founder of Instar. And if you are from Finland, you can also contact Kersti, because she is from Finland and from Estonia. So Kersti, you are going to talk about how to build up employer branding with digital tools. I'm really excited. The digital stage is yours. So please welcome. We cannot clap, but we do this. Clapping, yeah. We can see your screen. All right, and let's jump into the webinar, Kersti.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Adam, for really nice introduction. I'm Kersti Vannas from employer branding agency Instar, that's operating in Estonia and in Finland. And I'm going to talk about predicting the future and also how to attract this really weird TikTok generation. These generations, these young people that are around us, but well, we don't sometimes understand them so well anymore, unless we are not TikTokers ourselves. So, employer brand and digital world. Well, I would start with really like some fun phrase that we have all heard. So don't judge the book by its cover. Have we heard it? Yes. But we must admit that the cover matters when we're in a bookshop, right? Cover helps to attract the right audience and reflect the story, right? When you buy just a nice cover and then find out that the story is crap, you will be quite disappointed. Well, same thing applies to employer branding. You need a story, but you also need a cover. And you need a cover different from different audiences. So why I'm talking about books actually, when the topic is digital? Well, because books are just a great example to show the power of digitalization. They ain't anymore the paper books that we used to have long centuries ago. But there are nowadays audio, video, game books, you name it. Something for each and every audience. So in employer branding, you should have the narrative that matters, but you should also know how to distribute it, how to and reach your audiences and spread your message around in digital space. Find your audio books, your different audio games, whatever. So you need to do it. But how? Well, you need a data about your target audience preferences, data about the channels they use. Plus, you need a data about yourself. Well, you need to know that if your target audience knows about you and do they feel attracted to you as an employer. So if you don't have the data, well, basically, then you have to rethink about your employer branding activities once again. So you need a data. But when you already have a data, then the next question is that, well, how to build then this future-proof employer branding in this digital age? So where is this kind of crystal ball? So how to predict it? Well, I would say that, well, when you have probably many target audiences as an employer, but there's one target audience you should keep eye on, and these are these 18-year-old youngsters. They are your crystal balls. Yes, they may be not the experienced employees that you're right now desiring and searching, but their needs and preferences enable you to predict the future, because the things they want today are new normal after 10 years, and then they are already inside, maybe inside your organization. So how to attract this TikTok generation? Well, the easier thing is to tell that provide the environment they are used to. They are gamers, they are Netflixers, they are TikTokers. So in order to get their attention, you have to pay or remind yourself that their attention span is 2 seconds. So you have to be fast and cunning in this way. So, and the only way to really get their attention is playing with them, using memes or having some gamification, A/B sites in recruitment, having job ads in Tinder. I don't know how many of you have had job ads in Tinder. I have seen some job ads in Tinder. Yes, there are. There are TikTok job ads. There are some other like new channels. You have to be there. And not only youngsters are there, also, well, my type of people are sometimes hanging there. So I will also give you now a practical example, because one thing is to just talk what you should do, but I will just show you that how to then win the hearts and minds of this TikTokers generation. And the case is, well, quite like easy in this way. Well, it sounds easy. The case is about really well-known security giant G4S and their Estonian office, and they needed to recruit 100 employees, new employees in 1 month, and the target audience was 18 to 29. And well, the position where they needed these people was actually the airport security control. So we all know that security position is not the most attractive position in the world. Well, it's not really well paid maybe, but they also have this kind of special like restrictions that you really have to have no criminal record, so not each and everyone can go there. So in order to really like win the hearts and minds of this TikTok generation, what did G4S do? Well, actually they did the thing that the youngsters wanted in order to get their attention. So they thought about that, well, at first, we need to play with them, because they won't be interested in just applying some kind of boring job ad. And we also need to know their candidate journey. So when we are recruiting youngsters, they probably live at home, they use public transportation, they go to schools. So knowing this journey, we also can create the recruitment campaign starting at home. When you have, let's say, online campaigns using Facebook ads and Google ads, they are all the time getting this information. Then they go out, they go to bus stop, then they will see nice game. Well, that's not gamification, but still call to action. Then they will go to bus. In bus, they will see again hanging there, oh, join us. So when you have this kind of 7, let's say, touch points, you will get interested, and they got interested. So they were playing these games via their mobiles. And to be honest, G4S, our customer, said that it was the first summer where they could really like have a nice summer holiday, not being so worried about that do we have enough people fill in the posts. So speak this language that youngsters are speaking, then it really matters. And in the end, what I would like to say now, that for creating the future-proof employer brand, you need to know the future. And well, the best way is to get up close and personal with the younger generation. Well, not maybe literally, but via data. Well, you have the data. Maybe some of you have children. Well, good parental relationship also can help in this way. So start collecting data, start measuring your activities. Only then you are able to keep in track with your TikTok generation that changes their mind and preferences after each and every 2 seconds. So huge thanks and good luck winning the hearts and minds.
Thank you, Kersti. Thanks for sharing all these insights. And imagine I heard that a couple of weeks ago, a TikTok video became viral about using feta cheese, and the business impact was the sales of feta cheese doubled in the US. So amazing. TikTok has the power. And now let's travel down to the south. We have Pedro Garcia Cano from Spain, WTC, the biggest employer branding agency from Spain. And Pedro, thanks for joining us. I really love Pedro's presentation. He has more than 30 years. Yeah, 3 decades of experience in employer branding. What do you think about the digitalization and the connection, the link between employer branding? Pedro, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Adam. Well, it's really difficult to just in 5 minutes try to describe how digital is impacting the development of employer brand. So when I was called to this webinar, what I thought is the best thing I could do was try to give some overview of what has been my experience. That, as Adam said, it's been a long time. It's been already like more than 30 years in the business. So I'll try to give this kind of overview and talk first about the end of the 20th century. I'll go back a little bit. And coming from a traditional employer branding agency, I had the opportunity at the beginning of the 21st century to launch and to lead the launching of Monster in Spain and manage this platform in Italy. At that time, my employer TMP rallied the corporate strategy under an internal claim. What we were talking about all the time was shred the newspapers. And I think this theme underlined not only the end of the newspapers, but also a deep belief that it was going to be the end of an era. That the communication world that we knew since the development of the term employer brand by Simon Barrow will disappear. It was not clear how the future will look. Nobody, including my bosses that were founders of Monster, understood very well what will be the next thing in terms of employer branding. But the feeling was that something called internet will, like a giant cyborg, will take over and destroy everything we had known before. Almost 25 years later, from the launching of Monster, that was one of the first 500 sites started in the world, and was a site that promised to solve every challenge in the HR attraction field and recruitment world, ended up acquired by Randstad for peanuts. A company that was valued at almost $100 a share ended up valued at $3 a share. So I think 25 years has been enough time to try to look over and with some perspective, understand what has been the impact of the digital in the HR world. I will try in these 5 minutes to just summarize 3 ideas about what we have learned in these 25 years. What are some of the myths and truths about the real impact in the development of attraction, recruitment, and engagement activities in employer branding? And I'll try just to give these 3 ideas. And I would like to start with what I call the myths. Usually, what was thought in this at the beginning of this era of digital was that companies should just worry about the digital transformation, that everything was digital, that everything is digital, and there is nothing more than digital. And of course, digital is a wonderful, wonderful force in the construction of employer brand, but everything in digital and everything in employer branding does not start in digital. Brand building starts in the consumer insight, in the deep understanding of what our people, our future and present employees would like to experience in the workplace, about how we can develop a strategy and a storytelling that is relevant, attractive, and unique, so that this storytelling allows us to convince them that our company is the place to be. Let us understand our employers, make them feel like fighters. Let's develop, based on the company DNA, wonderful and engaging stories that make them proud. Let our auditors, consultants, and lawyers become gladiators, change warriors that are going to promote better practices and why not a better world? We should never forget that HR marketing is a world of people that uses technology, not a world of technology that uses people. To win the talent war, we have to develop great strategies that are powered with a digital approach. A story, a big idea that thanks to the technology can be adapted to different contact points and different targets. A second idea, a second myth, a second false statement in my view that I hear very often when I go to international seminars regarding digital is that there are some gurus, the so-called leading companies, that have a very clear understanding of the digital roadmap. About this, I will say that it's absolutely true that there are some platforms, some technical solutions like LinkedIn, Indeed, Workday, that are having a big impact in the HR today. But we have seen big players like Monster fall due to a wrong strategy and a lack of evolution. We have seen big failures, some strong promises that have not been delivered as expected. I think all of you remember Second Life, Google Glasses, and even Google for Jobs. Nobody knows how digital is going to evolve. We have not felt yet the real impact of technical advances such as mobile marketing, programmatic in some countries, and voice marketing. Nobody has a clear understanding of how new advances such as artificial intelligence and virtual reality are going to help develop El Dorado of the perfect match, an objective that everyone has been looking for since digital entered the scene. Can you imagine a future in which we can move from the now traditional conversion funnel to an environment of one position, one candidate? We have to be humble. We have to keep learning. We have to keep trying these new things because we are still designing the future of marketing and the most important challenges are still to come. And finally, let me finish with one universal truth, the truth that will have to drive your every single day decision in the implementation and in the building of a powerful employer brand. If you're not thinking digital every day, you are out. Your employees are talking about you in social, your candidates are talking about you in Glassdoor, your competitors are analyzing the 750 million data that LinkedIn has actually, and especially through LinkedIn, they are analyzing your employees through a product called Talent Insights. The market is developing sites and blogs to tell their story and programmatic to develop the traffic to the sites. Companies are out there to get the best graduates from the best schools and your best employers from your company. The big employers of the world are developing digital strategies and managing the numbers on a daily basis. And I would like to finish with an advice. Get ready and fast. The world crisis is going to end soon. And the war for talent is going to be fiercer than ever. A war in which the primitive arrows do not stand a chance against the nuclear power that digital provides to the development of employer brands. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Pedro. Thanks for sharing this KPMG example at the end. And now we are traveling to Moscow. Andre, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi everyone. So it's a great morning today. I'm glad to hear all of our 220 participants. And the story which I'm going to tell now is a little bit different. We in ChangeLange, we believe in large events. And today I would like to share some insights on how to do a great digital events, especially because of the fact that now we have to do them digitally. And I believe that in the future, like 80% of all events will still be digital. So my topic is quite simple, how to make large online events appealing and not just a talking head over Zoom. And why it's important? Simply because there is several facts. But before that, let me tell you a little bit of story about ourselves. So ChangeLange is Russian leading employer brand agency. We have more than 120 employees and specialists of employer branding doing roughly 200 projects a year with more than 100 events and more than 100,000 participants. But that's not the story about us. That's the story of the events which we do for clients. Because we believe that employer branding event is your test drive for candidates. And that is the most important thing if we speak about events or digital events. They need to be your test drive so that people test drive your company, understand they love it or not. And by the way, two things are important. If they love, that's great, they will apply. If they not, That's also great, because otherwise you'll have negative recruitment. You will recruit people and they will fly you out in about 1 month or 2, and you will spend lots of money on recruiting other people again. So employer branding events are especially important if we think about that as this point. And let's have a look how we can do it good test drive, so that people will appeal to us, but at the same time, it will not provide you with a negative recruitment. So this is usually how a typical employer branding event happens in online. So a person, he or she sits behind the computer, there is some presentation there, very okay, that is okay. 99% of events happens like that. But sometimes it happens and it's okay. But if we speak about, if we think about our possible candidates, especially, for example, if they are graduates or Generation Z or even Generation Y, we can see that they don't like that type of activity, because 99% of all the activities is like that. And we wanted with one of our clients, Raiffeisen Bank, one the premium bank in Europe and one of the largest bank in Russia, to do differently. And this is how it happens. And I will show you the video and then explain the insights and what we exactly did. There are some words in Russian saying that there was a coverage of roughly 600,000 people and more than 1,000 people participate. 7 interaction zones, different speakers, Q&A sessions, even disco, all full in line, and people saying that that was an amazing event, the very best they had. So this is how it was. And this is what we did. During that event, in fact, we had 3 events simultaneously. So that was a Scrum game, a conference, and also some informal activities so to engage people. So to those of us who don't know what is a Scrum game, so Scrum is a technology in IT which is used to gather teams all together. That is mostly project management technology. And we wanted people to experience that, understand that Raiffeisen Bank uses it within their process of developing software, and also make a very great results during the game with students. The second one was definitely conference, where we have several different sessions showing how good the Raiffeisen Bank is in IT, in software development, in product management and design. And also had lots of informal activities so that people can feel the vibe of company, especially, you heard the music. That is the vibe of Raiffeisen Bank. That is not an old bank anymore. That is a very modern bank, and we wanted to show that. And also for people who were participating, we were providing them with 2 options. The first one, gamers, and the second one was spectators. So gamers, they had a very strong selection, university, course, specialty, motivation. They participated in the Scrum game and in conference. And spectators, the selection was simple, just interest in topic of digital agile. There was live stream, there was conference, and lots of informal activities. So they didn't play the game, but they saw it, they understood the result, and so on. And here, what was happening as the results? We had, in fact, 3 results which were expected from that event. The first one is to create the bank's image as a modern technological employer for young IT specialists, and we get 3 proofs of that. More than 1,000 people participated. 73% of the participants said they improved their attitude about Raiffeisen Bank about actual event, and NPS was plus 43. So to compare, NPS of Apple is roughly 56 or 57, so very close to Apple NPS. Then our next goal was to create an opportunity to evaluate the best participants and track them to Raiffeisen Bank's programs for students and graduates. And we have 57 people selected, and also 250 plus people applied for internship and starting positions at Raiffeisen Bank after the event. And also the third point was to provide a large digital audience coverage. And we had the coverage of 600,000 people on the event. We had roughly 3,000 registrations and more than 1,000 event participants, both as gamers and as spectators. And we had several mistakes which we wanted to share with you. In fact, there are 5 main mistakes taken from that event and several others. The first one is putting everything in one day. Online, you should split things into several days, as people find it hard to spend long hours at computer. Some events we had was 6 or 8 hours, and people said that it was too difficult for them. The second experience was that we focused sometimes only on the beauty and colorfulness of slides. And the main thing is the presentation and its content. And it's very important to focus on that, especially when you work with your internal people in business. And sometimes they do not focus on that because they have 100 plus things to do else. The third one is having sound fully adjusted. And that's also very important because 80 or 90% of people, they watch the event not through video, but through sound. And sometimes sound means even more than the video. The fourth one is believing that online format is easier than offline. Our experience shows that online requires 20 to 30% more time than offline, because in offline, it's very easy to control the audience. In online, it's much more difficult. And fifth, assuming that online is a temporary format. I believe that up to 50% of events will no longer go back to offline. For example, assessment for mass jobs or for international positions, they're going to be online forever. Also, I will give you some tips for choosing a platform for doing online events that is as important as choosing the venue for offline one. So Zoom is a platform that has always worked well and everyone knows how to use it. So in 80%, we advise you to use Zoom. If you want to have something greater and better, there are several options. Pine Tools, Hopin, Umbrella are platforms for nice conferences. So Hopin is the market leader, but Pine Tools, in my opinion, is much better. I think it's twice or 3 times better and cheaper. So I advise you to use it. And there is a nice new startup called Gather Round. So I wouldn't say it's for conferences. It's more for interactive sessions with great features for meeting together and up to 200 participants. So check it out. And that's an amazing piece of software. Also, I advise you to use Miro as a convenient service for teamwork and networking through the event, because Pine Tools, Hope, and Umbrella are not going to provide you with that kind of experience. And also, do not forget about a good camera. I think that for the majority of reasons, Logitech Brio is a better choice among non-pros. For example, now I use it. And headphones, AirPods, or something so on, that they are the must, because you need to have a very good and nice sound for a conference. So if you have any questions regarding online events, please feel free to reach me out.
We have questions.
Let's go with them.
I will answer this live. This is a function that we can record your answer. So Sonia, thanks for your question. Sonia asked, was this a virtual event? Because you were talking about the digital event, but we saw in the video live event. So what was the type of this event?
Yeah, absolutely digital. I would say it like that. For people who are not employees of Raiffeisen Bank, that was completely digital. So people would connect with their software, with the special software, Pine Tools. They do all that stuff fully digitally and so on. But also, sometimes events are not only events for the outstanding audience, but also for your employees. On the stage, we had roughly 20 to 30 Raiffeisen Bank employees, and I would say the best people of Raiffeisen Bank. And from them, we also made a show so that they can feel the team spirit and be really focused on doing a great event together. So for future candidates, online, for employees, that was offline. Cool. And also, I see that Serena is asking the question, how we did attract the participants. So in fact, we use 4 digital channels. The first one is our database. So we have roughly 200,000 people database on Russian market and several countries nearby. The second one is of course, social networks. So in Russia, that's mostly VK.com, the Russian largest network, but also we use Facebook and Instagram. The third one is special information partners, because like we focus on digital, so we focus on communities in Scrum and product ownership, design, and so on. And the fourth one is definitely universities, but that is a small part of for attraction, because usually on Russian market it doesn't work at all. So okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have more questions, but we will answer them later on. And please note all attendees that we receiving tons of questions, but you are writing only to the panelists. So please use the all panelists and attendees option in the chat room, because you can answer each other, or you can make new connections. So if you write a comment, please use the all panelists and attendees option. And now we are traveling to the Netherlands, and let's switch not only country, but a perspective, because we were talking about candidate experience. But Ton, I know that you will talk about the employee engagement and the ambassadors, how to connect this topic with employer branding, and what is the link between digitalization and the ambassadors. Ton, the stage is yours. You are muted. This is the sentence of the year. We can see you, and now we can hear you.
Great. Yeah,
Perfect,
super.
Tom, perfect.
Well, maybe Emesa, you can help me by sharing the screen, because I don't seem to be able to share my screen.
Yeah, sure. Let's bring
Ah,
it.
great.
1 second. Yeah.
Well, lovely to have a short conversation about you in how to use digital, because it's a great means to an end, and the end, of course, is making connections and getting people to connect. So from Rotterdam today, I do have a European Song Contest feeling, I must say, in meeting you all. So here are the votes from Rotterdam today.
So now you are able to share your screen. You have the host.
Okay, better. Yeah.
And now, yeah, Meshi, you share the screen, but this is perfect. We can see the screen.
Yeah, maybe Meshi, I can ask you to just
yeah, we can have
go through the sheets. Yeah, right. Yeah, super. Right. Yeah, so how to use digital to leverage the power of your employees. Yeah, next slide.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, keep going, Ton.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first is, of course, there's a large urgency today to get our employees engaged in this whole recruiting process. I often like to call it build the recruitment culture. Why is this? The urgency is growing. Today, there's a famous recruiting sentence saying, you have to be a thief to catch a thief. And especially in these scarce roles, which we are fighting for today, like the IT specialists, the data people, the nurses, all kinds of technology people, you need the nurse to find the nurse. So the recruitment role is far more getting to a process role, enabling people to meet with their peers and start a conversation from a content point of view deep inside their profession. And of course, the other urgency is in cost of hire and quality of hire. Leveraging your employees as ambassadors, as evangelists of the brand is an enormous win in quality and win in cost and effectiveness of hire. Thanks, Mason. Next slide. So what I want to present is two short interventions in what we call the recruitment funnel. And this is a model we use from the attracting point, the involvement, informing point, to starting dialogues, to getting people on board in the experience. And there are two interventions in this recruitment funnel. Maybe, Mesa, next slide. And the first one is about on the front side of this recruitment funnel, how to get your people in their LinkedIns, in their socials, in their networks to share the stories, to share the company stories, and even bring their own stories inside. And so to me, these kind of applications are the no-brainer of employer branding today, the no-brainer. I would say in every consult we do today, there is a no-brainer of using these ambassador applications. Yes. So because the advantages are enormous of like Smart, Everyone Social, SoCU, social seeder. There are a lot of tools available in getting these employee advocacy of ambassador programs online. Yes, amazing. And this, the benefits are overall, and they are not just in the recruiting part, but people sharing your company's brand stories are, of course, contribute to reputation overall. And in the recruitment, the quality leads, but also sharing the stories inside, and being an ambassador makes you feel inspired by the own stories. People don't hardly know what is going on in their story. And from the HR perspective, I would say use these kind of tools to build and curate the culture you want to build. And the important thing, once implementing these kind of stories, make the proposition also towards the people that are participating in your ambassador programs, because the win for people joining these programs are enormous in making qualified presence and building their own their own personal brands even stronger. And in that way also contribute to the personal network capital, which I say today is one of the most important capital points of your own personal value. Okay, and so in the next example, I would say this is to me, looking in this in our employer brand space, this to me is the avant-garde world. I know one tool, and this has to do in how to leverage your employees joining in the recruitment dialogue, answering the questions, getting the real inside information shared with peers. And so, and these programs are called candidate engagement programs, and I truly know one. So afterwards, I would like to hear every other opportunity, but the one I really like and have been following for years now is Path Motion. And to me, they are at this moment the only ones that really, and what I compare it to is, you have your recruitment website, which used to be a sending part, like you send the message. But this, to me, this program is like the living room, the dialogue room of your recruitment website, and really getting interactions in your recruitment platform. And so the benefits of like peers engaging in questions that people ask are numerous. And especially maybe the first one I like to know, and then I'll stop. But the first one has to be about the candidate experience. This recruitment space often is about like, do you want to marriage? Send in your application. That's kind of ridiculous that you ask people to marriage. Just like, let's first start to dance. Let's first start to have a cup of coffee. And one of my favorite website tools is the button have a coffee, and not applicants here or sending your resume, really nonsense. So this kind of avant-garde tooling is really getting the dances, the conversations before the marriage. So I'll stick to that. Thank you very much. And let's all see Eurovision, especially because of the beautiful town of Rotterdam, which is shown in all its grandeur. I love it.
All right, thank you, Tom, and thanks for bringing in this approach that when we are talking about digitalization, it's not only about the candidate experience, but the employee experience as well. And we have a question before Anita starts her presentation. Sorina asked that what is your opinion about the fact that companies are rewarding employees that are recommending new candidates? So these are referral programs. Is this linked with NPS score or engagement? I think the question is about the root of the referral numbers. What do you think?
Yeah, I see ambassador programs distinctive from the referral programs. Like the referral is a deepening in an ambassador program. But I have one like a quote, and I say the worse the company, the higher the premium. And so to me, referral programs should be, it's a nice indication of how attractive are you really from the inside, because people want to refer you anyhow with great companies?
Yeah, thanks, Sorina, for this question. I think NPS is the Net Promoter Score, so it's a direct link. If you have a high NPS score, of course, employees will recommend new candidates. But if your engagement score is low, you won't receive high NPS score. So there is a link between the numbers. And now we are traveling to Hungary, and here we have Anita Zvezdovic, my business partner from Brandfiz. And Anita, you have a great example from Thermo Fisher Scientific. And now we are in the third part of the webinar, which is focusing on measuring the success. The stage is yours.
I think this is, many of you remember the good old days of big hiring events like huge job fairs, and which has been growing around us in the past years. And everything was upscaling, and we were preparing for months and spent thousands and millions of forints on it, or euros, and all our employees were coming to these events. And basically, I think many of you, like me at that time, I was also on corporate side for 8 years before we founded Brandfiz. I felt always like this fishing, like you go there are 600 companies, 30,000 people coming there, and you are trying to kind of like fish the people there. And especially when you are hiring IT people, engineers, finance specialists, so who are really niche skills on the market, you feel so small when all the Mercedes and BMW and all the kind of stands are around you, and maybe you don't have such a big budget. So from this fishing, I actually broke out from the water in the past 1 year, because our moment who are not willing to fish, like going to a big event, 30,000 participants, and at the end when they ask you what is your result, it's like, yeah, I think we hired 2-3 people or 4 people, and we spent so much money on it, and like 15 people from the company were there for 2-3 days. And this fishing was unsuccessful, and I was really pessimistic about job fairs already. And I'm very happy what happened in the last 1 year, because everybody got used to the environment of test driving, as Andres said, online. And I also 100% believe that the recruitment events and the virtual recruitment is not going to stop. And that's why I think it's also important talking about not only upscaling your virtual recruitment, but also what is the benefit of downscaling it, because that is the opportunity not only for fishing, which was earlier, but cherry picking, and to be able to find the relevant target group who you are searching, like that coder, that engineer who is the unicorn for your own company. And those unicorns, when you are targeting with domain specific virtual recruitment events, then it's not about the number of participants, but the quality and the quantity of the niche skills who you are trying to attract there. So I would like to show the measurements of this and how is it efficient, because domain specific, event-driven employer branding is part of our life now. And I'm really grateful that these job fairs are finished. Domain-specific, event-driven employer branding events are here to attract the niche skills. And what is really heartwarming when you see, as you talked about before, the ambassadors of the company, the proud members or employees of your organization, like a Thermo Fisher, who nominated, like there we have 10% of the organization in Hungary, they are all ambassadors, and they nominated themselves in very wide portfolio of domains to share their knowledge and to attract people from the market to their teams. So we created a digital domain portfolio with 44 different domains to be able to attract very unique talents, like people who have the interest and the background in immunology. I don't know if it's so easy on social media to target that. If based on your experience, I think it's not easy. And my favorite one was out of these 44 present or domain-specific events was not Gergő, who was talking about, and he volunteered to talk about, to attract bioengineers, about the difference between bioproduction and bioprocessing, especially when you are producing vaccines. As you know, Thermo Fisher is one of the biggest vaccine and test producer around the world in these COVID times. So 105 bioengineers were there with Gergő, and he was talking to those people who understand him, and he was really excited because he, of course, after that wanted to have most of them in his team. And when I remember back, like 2 years ago, Gergő must have went to the job fair and like searching, like, would you imagine that you can find 105 bioengineers in this job fair area? I mean, even finding 1 or 2, I was happy. So I think that is very much the power of the virtual recruitment when you downscale it and domain specify it. And you see there a number, 4.9. What can be this number? This is on a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied the 105 participants who we asked were with Gergő, and how much likely they would like to work for him. So the people who were there, they were not only bioengineers speaking his language, but really satisfied with his presentation. And this is my message for you, summarizing 4 key takeaways, like what is your advantage and how to measure the success of downscaling, is that basically mobilizing the network capital, as also Ton said, and targeting with your domain owners from your own company. This is the first. The second is standardization. When you have 44 domains and you deliver 10 events in 2 weeks, you have to standardize preparation and campaigns. And also standardize how to deliver your employees in the online space, as also Andre earlier said, not only this frontal, but deliver not only the knowledge, but an experience, so that they rate the event, what they see there, as a 4.9, 9 at least. And of course, the measurement, and not only how many people after that you will be able to turn into recruits, but also the performance of the leaders. And I think that was, these were the most exciting things for me in the past 1 year to learn. And I hope that you are able to implement.
Wow. Thank you very much. And yeah, I am pretty sure that we won't be able to find more than 100 bioengineers at job fair. So yeah, there are many advantages if you are using targeted domain specific recruitment activities. Wonderful, and thanks for sharing the numbers. And I know a guy from the panelists who will share numbers, and please welcome from Norway, the CEO or founder of Identify, the leading Norwegian employer branding agency, Hans Petter Stubb. And Hans, you are going to talk about numbers and business impact, right?
I am, definitely. And thanks for having me. And digital tools have given us a plethora of abilities to measure. We get numbers and insights and graphs and dashboards. We know so much more about not only our own employees with the eNPS scores, ongoing, not just once a year, but also our candidates, and we can track them throughout the whole candidate journey. It's fantastic. It gives us the opportunity to really show that employer branding works. But here's the kicker. Just because we measure lots of things does not mean that we're measuring the right things. And the right things in this context, these are the things that the CEOs and CFOs cares about in the budget discussions. And that is, well, to put it quite bluntly, money. because a lot of things we're measuring is not broken down into numbers. And we're talking about money numbers. And if we don't do that, you're not going to have much on runway in the budget discussion. And I'm going to show a pitfall a lot of HR departments fall into through a case study for a municipality in Norway recruiting teachers. So what we wanted to do was show actually, was there a link between long-term employer branding and short-term recruitment campaigns? So basically what Ton was talking about, the dance before the marriage. So basically we invited teachers to dance, and then later we tried actually to propose them to marry us. And was there an effect? We wanted to document this. So what we did was nothing groundbreaking here at all, but we had a content marketing campaign with some articles we knew were relevant for teachers and that differentiated our municipality from the surrounding municipalities. So quite simple, we did that in November and December of 2020. And then 2 to 3 months later, we exposed them for the recruitment ads. And we want to know, okay, what was the effect? Because we compared this to a benchmark. That benchmark was over 50 similar campaigns towards teachers where there wasn't this content marketing and the employer branding campaign 2 to 3 months previously. So what was the effect? We had to measure. We used some digital tools, obviously, and we saw the increase in click rate of 108% on Facebook, 71% on LinkedIn, 277% on Snapchat, and also because we can track throughout the candidate journey, you could see the conversion. Actually, people not only seeing the ad, but also applying increased 44%. Fantastic results. We have now proven that long-term employer branding has an effect on short-term recruitment. All good, right? Well, maybe not. Because we could say, well, it worked. Let's do this for other functions as well. But do we really know if it worked? Because a lot of people, I've seen hundreds of cases being sent into competitions. A lot of people stop tracking at this stage. They get all these numbers, but they're not measuring the right things. Because in a budget discussion, when the CEO or CFO comes back and says, okay, so you spent some money on this employer branding, and it costs money in form of production and distribution of these articles. That's cost money. Let's say, make up a number, 15,000 euros. What did we get? If we answer, well, we got a real great conversion rate, or yes, we got an increased click rate, they're not going to be impressed because they don't know if it worked. Because right now, we have no idea if the benefit actually outweighed the cost because we're measuring in 2 different currencies. We're measuring the cost in euros and the benefit in engagement, or not engagement, but in click-through rate and in conversion. That doesn't make sense to the CFO and the CEO. So we have to do something else. So we know, okay, if we have increased click rate and conversion, that means we can reduce spending. Aha, we can save some money. Or we can also say, we're getting more teachers, which means we're going to need fewer temps when these teachers get sick, as they obviously will throughout the year. That's also a saving. So we put up this number and measure in this way, not only looking at the click rate and engagement, but the benefit of the increased click rate and increased conversion, sorry. If we looked at the cost of reduced spending, or the savings, and the savings from the extra cost of hiring temps, and divide that by the cost of employer branding, if that is higher than 1, aha, only then do we know if this was a success or not. Because now we're measuring in the same currency. And that is extremely important. And some HR and companies are doing this, but far from everyone, because we're so preoccupied with getting lots of numbers, we're not really careful about getting the right numbers. So only a cost benefit in the same currency is likely to increase your funding. And that was basically my very short message about, yes, you can use digital tools, but measure the right things.
The mic drop moment. Okay. Thanks very much. And we are nearly closing our webinar, but we have a special guest today as a final speaker. And please welcome on the digital stage, Mark Horley from the UK, Tonic Agency. Mark, we heard so much examples, many best cases and ideas. How can you sum up what we
yeah, how can I
share
sum
your
that up?
ideas, your thoughts.
Yeah, so how can I sum that up? Great speakers. I mean, my God, look at the intelligence in this Zoom is just incredible, and I'm always in awe and proud of standing remotely next to these guys, because what they're doing around Europe and around the world is just exceptional. So what am I going to talk to you about today? I'm going to try and summarize that, and I'm going to try and give you some kind of idea around some key takeaways of what to bring along. I've also got a very quick example of how we have used behavioral science to help attract as part of a digital trend. But first, let's just have a little think about, before we start, I just want to introduce Tonic a little bit. We build talent brands people want to work for. We do that all the way around the world. We do everything from data behavior all the way through to employee experience, strategy planning, and so on. You'd expect us to be creative. You'd expect us to have social and content, which we do. We do it for a number of clients: Army, Lonza, Metropolitan Police, PEGA, IQEQ. What brings all of these people together is they want to be disruptive, they want to be fresh, they want to be innovative, and that's where these kinds of digital trends become really important. We've won some awards. I want that 3 to be an 8, so it's a nice 8 all the way through, but we will get there one day. Fundamentally, the digital trends that I think these guys have been talking about, and what I'd like to talk to you about is really in the context of the rules that we're working in today. The rules have changed. We all started working at home in around March 2020. Now it's kind of work from anywhere. We can be online all day, every day, as much as we want. On average, we're now spending an hour and a half to 2 hours longer online than we did pre-pandemic. So we are nations of content creators. We are nations of individuals that are spending a hell of a long time on the internet, on social, on mobile. Automation, we hear about it all the way through the HR process. How can we automate this to be more efficient, but keep the human being at the center of it? Automation is key, and we've talked about that, whether it's things like being domain specific, or whether it's about measuring the right data, whether it's looking at EMPS. We're looking at how do we create this content and this engagement in a way that allows us to be efficient and fast and engaging and so on. And when you think there are nearly 4.6 billion people of us using the internet, nearly 3.8 billion of us using social, nearly just over nearly 5.2 billion people on mobile, that's 60% of the world's population online. It means that our rules have changed. It means that our digital trends are far greater than the just great content and so on. It's about using AR, VR, QR, AI, all of those things that we know to enhance the experience, to build the experience, so that worlds can meet, worlds can collide, so that those Zoom events that Andre talked about, it isn't just a Zoom event, it's a live event, but it feels real. And I thought Sonia's question was fantastic, because that meld of real and automated was fantastic. The idea of gamification interaction, finding ways to get people on those virtual events that feel real, feel connected, that me, not we content as I describe it. It's hyper personalization. I want to be talked to for me, not because I'm an engineer or I'm a graduate. It's about who am I, and that's that point around employee advocacy and so on that Tom talked about. EGC, employer generated content. We're all doing it every day. We all share photos on Facebook. We all share photos, or on Instagram or Pinterest or any other of the platforms we have around the universe. But fundamentally, employees, that kind of, you have to catch a nurse. You have to be a nurse to catch a nurse. That employer generated content, that advocacy allows that connection in a way that removes the institution of the organization and says, work with me, not work for us because we're good. And that has far more power. Behavioral science, particularly, we've been working with it in the UK quite a lot. Behavioral science is massive to really truly understanding what people think, what people feel, and what people will do. Because generally they won't tell you what they think. They won't say what they feel, and they certainly don't do what they say. And so behavioral science removes all of that. It removes the kind of consciousness. I mean, I'm sure you've done it. I know I've done it. I've been online where I've filled in those quizzes and I didn't like the answer, so I went back and did it again until I did like the answer. Behavioral science strips all that away and it says this is who we are. because, and that's why engagement is different. You know, it's about hyper personalization. It's about talking to me, not we. It's about those everyday interactions that will win and actually can sometimes lose people if we do it wrong. So it's about connecting my beliefs and values. It's about having a social purpose to people, for people to connect to, far beyond just the function of doing the job with you as an organization. It's about being instant, relevant, and quick. I saw a quote that suggested that our attention span now is less than a goldfish. It's about 5.4 seconds. You know, so we have less than 6 seconds to really get to understand, get to connect to people, and then bring them along that value chain that all of these, you know, people like Andre and Hans talked about. And people spot the bullshit, frankly. They will tell you, because if you just come up and go, work here, it's good. People go, yeah, don't believe you. Tell me why. Give me the reasons, give me the evidence. Don't be part of this show that creates a veneer. Uncover the, you know, take away the veneer, unlock the doors. Let me see what it's really like, because you will, as Hans and I think others said, you will only lose me if the delivery of promise isn't true. And that's something that we always take into real consideration. Which is why we look at, I think, you know, the guys have all talked about the whole digital employee experience. That's about exploring the entire journey, making sure that we connect, integrate, and enhance, making sure we uncover the value difference. So it isn't just about offering a job. It isn't just about creating an opportunity to apply. It is about creating a value difference. Where is the value in this interaction? Where is the value in the conversation that we can have with our candidates? You know, Andre's conversation and all of the conversation and Andre's events showed you that brilliantly. You know, the KPMG event showed you that brilliantly, how you can create that value difference. And if you look at all of those case studies, there's a single point of clarity to what everybody was talking about. And it's because we looked at it, you know, I can imagine that we all looked at it in our own way. Some call it personas, we call it tribes, but it's about who are our people? Where do they live? What are their habits? How can we engage them? How can we build an interest around them? Who are their influencers? Who are their favorite brands? So we're not just thinking, you know, can I get an engineer for this particular role because that's the job they have? How do I build around the demographic of our individuals so that I know them and not just what they do? And that's really a powerful story. Dixon's car phone is a great example of that. And I can't show you all of it because I don't have time, and a lot of it's under NDA, but we used certain behavioral science to create their employer brand called Tech Lovers Unite. For those of you who don't know, Dixon's car phone are one of the largest retailers in the UK. They employ something like 34,000 people, and they've gone through a massive job in the last year to really connect and engage with all of their people through their own narratives and their learning and their experience. And I'm proud to work with this organization. To give you a quick sense of how we used it, we looked at those tribes and built personas, almost the tribes of the individuals, who they were, what really was their value and their personality, who influenced them, who did they trust, what were their online habits, what was really going to gain receptivity to them. Are they, you know, and we found out they were curious, independent, outgoing, helpful, and so on. When we did a brand emotion SWOT analysis, if you look over on the right hand side, which is all the big story, the people were interested in technology, in the team, in offers, in the customer consultant, being part of that, and actually being enabling in terms of that, the way that tech lovers will use technology. It meant that we could create a series of content around Tech Lovers Unite that was real and was relevant. These weren't flash images. It wasn't overly choreographed. It wasn't overly manicured in terms of the way that we shot it. It was about capturing the personality of the colleagues and capturing this idea that people love technology because that's what the behavioral science told us. It told us that they wanted to see people, you know, around talking around Black Friday, or the Instagram stickers that we created for the pandemic and learning at home and so on, or even if it's the Facebook content and so on. But it looked real, it looked organic, it wasn't manicured, it wasn't from the organization, it was from the colleagues of Dixon's car phone. And the results were big. You know, for example, the average conversion rate on a website is 8 to 10%. Dixon's car phone were getting nearly 50% as a result, because we were getting more of the right people. And to Hans's point, and Hans Petter's point, we were measuring more of the right information. So that data was critical. So the takeaways, and I've written this as we've gone through the presentation, I think it's exceptional. Kirsty was talking about get the right data, get up close and personal, really understand who you're talking to, which is some of that behavioral science story. Pedro was talking about if you're not thinking digital, you're out. So you've got to have digital as part of your strategy, as part of the integrity of the entire campaigns. Andre was talking about gamification, interaction, connection, looking at different stages, building different points of interest through the journey. Tom was talking about advocacy and engagement, making sure that candidate engagement, that employee advocacy was front and center in your digital thinking. Anita was talking about targets, standards, delivery, measure, making sure that we get down into that sense of, we're on the right digital specifics. We're not just spray, as I call it, spray and pray and hope some of it sits. We're measuring the right things through Hans Petter. We're being relevant and real, because everyday interactions can win and can lose people. But fundamentally, the thing I think we all want to take away from this is this. Don't forget about the human being in all of this. It is so easy to automate. It is so easy to put in video interviews, onboarding programs, online assessments, online application forms, online content that becomes a one-way conversation. The human being, your candidate, your colleague, is at the center of all of this. And if you can keep them at the center of it and you add to their value, if you add value to them, they're more likely to talk to you, they're more likely to join you, they're more likely to stay with you, and you're more likely to be a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. A great summary about today's webinar. And we run out of time, and I think that this is the right time to say goodbye. So thank you all for joining us and asking great questions and participating and commenting. So please leave your LinkedIn profiling if you want, and if you would like to make new professional connections, this is the time. And thanks for joining. You can follow our website, our social platforms to find more case studies on our website. We have more than 10, I think. So you can check all the details and you can learn from the knowledge, the experience of the European Employer Brand Association members. So thank you for joining us, and I would like to give a big round of applause to our speakers. Anita from Hungary, Hans Petter from Norway, Kirsty from Estonia, Ton from the Netherlands, Pedro from Spain, Andre from Russia, and Mark from the UK. Thanks for joining, and have a great day, a sparkling day, and add some sparkle to your employer brand. Take care. Bye.
Adam, and may I ask one question to people in here? So guys, it's very important for us to make this event better. So may I ask everyone who was together with us, all the participants, to put the score in chat. How would you rate this event on a score from 1 to 10? Yeah, it will be very important for us to understand how good we performed. Yeah, please, everyone, put the score here. Don't be afraid to put 1 or 2 or 8, everything you want. Okay, we see some score here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and have a good day, guys.
Great idea. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.